What's going on, YouTube? Happy Tuesday. Look who decided to come grace the presence of this channel. If you don't know this young lady, this is Rebecca Cutter. She is the creator and the showrunner of this outstanding series you all have been watching this season, Hightown. Miss Rebecca, how are you
Hi,
doing tonight?
Lamont.
How are
Good.
you
How are
doing?
you?
I'm real good now. I waited. My Christmas gift is tonight. Being able to sit here and talk to you is my Christmas gift, and we're so thankful to have you here.
Mine too. Thank you for having me.
Now, I got a few rules I got to give you, Miss Cutter, and
Okay.
there's only really one. I guarantee you on this channel, in this interview, 2 laughs during this video, or you get to pick one of my 5 favorite stocks, and you get one free. So 2 laughs.
Okay.
So
I'm down.
So one thing that a lot of people have been just talking about, and I'm gonna go ahead and put you on the sweat box in the beginning. But before we do that, for those of you that don't know this young lady's history, she has done The Mentalist. She's got some credits on The Mentalist, and she has some credits on Gotham. Having said that, Miss Cutter, do I detect that there's possibly some comic love within you after writing those 2 great stories?
I would actually say no. I'm not a big comic book person.
Really?
Yeah, but I loved writing. Well, The Mentalist was not a comic show, so and I loved writing that show. It was a mystery show, and I learned so much. That was my first writing gig. And then Gotham was just a really beautiful story, but at least the 2 seasons I was on, we didn't focus too much on the comic book element, and so I didn't have to know what I was doing. But no, I would be lying if I said I was a huge comic book person.
Well, that just shows that there's so much creativity. You can pretty much work on any story you want to. And as we talk about Hightown, I one time read that the greater the story, the deeper the narrative, the more that story tends to relate to barriers that might have happened in the creator's life. So having said that, Ms. Cutter, this story of Hightown is so good. You have antagonists that wind up looking like protagonists and vice versa. In coming up with this story, does it have any ties to any barriers you might have gone through in your own life?
Oh yeah, tons. Yeah. Well, I'll just say off the bat that I've been sober a pretty long time, 18 years. I just turned 18. So that's a big part of my life, is sort of that before and after and recovery and seeing that miracle happen for other people and spiritual life. So I know it's not like a sexy thing to talk about, but that's a big part of it. That's a big part of how I write the characters. I think if you know addicts, you know that people don't always do what's in their own best interest. And I think that applies to a lot of people, not just addicts. So there's a lot of characters like Ray and Jackie, and everybody is sometimes they're doing things that aren't in their best interest. And that makes interesting drama because everyone's not just like perfect all the time.
Certainly does. And I would just commend you for actually letting us know that this is something you have gone through. And for that, you definitely get the Hollywood clap.
I laughed, so you got one.
You took a barrier in your life and you turned it into something that's grand, that has lessons in it. It's so good. You also get my favorite person with pom-poms, and it's not my daughter. You get this too.
Thank you.
Man.
And then also the Cape Cod thing. I grew up going there. My husband's from there, and my father-in-law is a retired fishery service agent. So that's that whole Jackie story.
Wow. To create that type of story, where do you have to be? How do you go about constructing the story, putting yourself in the place to sit down and write these stories? Because these seasons are like, 8 to 10, and in some cases, some people have 12 seasons. How are you able to put yourself in the mindset to sit down and flesh out these characters in such a dynamic way? And by the way, I don't know how you all go about selecting the cast, but I'm about to have to give you the Hollywood clap again. You guys select the most dynamic, diverse cast, and everybody who plays in Hightown feels organic. I can relate to almost everyone. Talk to me a little bit about that.
We're so lucky with the cast. I mean, I agree. They're so good. And that's a testament to a lot of people, the casting directors, me and the other producers who had picked them. Some of the people at Starz had really great opinions. The producers at JBTV. I mean, there's a lot of opinions that go in, but then ultimately you pick people without knowing who they are or how they're going to do it. And then from that point on, it's kind of luck that we just got such wonderful, nice people that all were collaborative and wanted to be part of it and gave it their all. And the chemistry with everyone, it's just like, it just worked. So a lot of that is luck, but I'm so grateful. And then for how I created it, I mean, that was literally just like a bolt of inspiration. Like I saw the character of Jackie Quinones. I saw this fishery service living in Provincetown who was like kind of coming down off the party high. And I was like, I'll figure out some kind of murder mystery to put her in. Like, and then the opiate epidemic was just coming into like really big consciousness of news at that time. So I was like, it'll be about that. It'll be about drug dealers. But, it was really her character was the first thing. And then you just have to be like, okay, who else should there be? Well, there should be a cop. Oh, well, there needs to be a drug dealer. Oh, well, she has this friend Junior. Oh, she has this fishery service guy. So,
wow,
go through it all.
And speaking of some of the characters, there's one character who has graced the presence of my show. And I'm talking about Atkins. He plays Aceto. And ladies and gentlemen, he is planning to come back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. You don't want to miss it. He has a bone to pick with me because some of the things his character has gone through, Rebecca, I figured it out. Especially one part. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you love Aceto, he'll be back to talk to us next week.
And who doesn't love Aceto? He's the best.
Rebecca, look, I was raised by a grandmother. Lord have mercy. Do you know these grandparents love Aceto?
I love that.
I mean, they started out hating his guts last season.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden they're rooting for him. I'm like, Grandma, you like him more than you like your own grandson. What's up with that?
No.
She's like, he comes on the show. She's like, I like him. He's nice. I like him.
That's the power of Atkins because that dude killed somebody in the first 5 minutes of the show. So you have to be really likable to get past that. So that's what he brings, Right. I mean, besides his talent, but also that charisma is so important.
Exactly. That's what she hinted on. She says she couldn't figure out what it is she likes about him. And when people say that, usually it's just the charisma. Dude is very talented, but it's not just him. The entire cast is just bubbling over with talent, which leads me to my next question. Here's a picture of you and Monica, who plays Jackie. Is it safe to say that Jackie is kind of a main character? Is it safe to say that?
Yeah.
So can I ask you, is the relationship with a show creator and the main character kind of like that of a coach / quarterback in the NFL?
I don't know. I've never been a coach in the NFL, but I can imagine it. That's a good parallel, but she doesn't need a lot of coaching. She gets the character and she's such a hard worker and she has, and I don't even know exactly her process because it's like some high level acting process stuff, right. But she goes in and she has a whole thing that she does. And I've never been like, ooh, what is she doing? It's always on track with what I see. So, and I wrote that before she was cast, obviously. So a lot of things I was picturing Jackie, or they didn't exist yet. I didn't know what she wore. I didn't know what she looked like, and then, so Monica Raymond is Jackie for me, now I'm writing for Monica Raymond. Before I was just writing for Jackie. So we come together and we both make that character,
She plays it effortlessly. This was my first time seeing her in any performance. And she did it so well. I went back and looked at some of her old stuff. And I mean, man, she's lighting this thing up. The way she's been able to shift emotions on a drop of a dime.
Yep.
I can't do enough, praising her, waxing poetically about not just her, but everyone. But when
Yeah.
she's on screen, she's
You
been
can
the type
write a
of kid.
scene for her with no words because
Yes,
she can play
yes,
6 different emotions on her face and her eyes. It's amazing.
right. And
Yeah.
she has been able to create this visceral feel between us, the people enjoying the show, and her character, to
Yep.
almost to the point where some of us are upset about different
Yes.
things she has gone through. And we'll get there in a minute.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Yep.
there are some other good things that I like before we get into the breakdown of the great scenes from this season I want to talk to you about. This show was not afraid to dive into culture war issues that go on in this country, from drugs, from LGBTQ, from diversity, from Black issues, white issues. You dove into all of it. What gave you the courage and motivation to dive into this, knowing that some people might feel like they have a polarizing effect and might look at it in a different light?
I always say this, but like, I don't believe there's good guys and bad guys. I think we're all doing the best we can. I
Mhm.
think everybody believes they're doing the best they can. And I believe that from people who are very different from me and people who are like me. So I think you just try and make honest characters and
Mhm.
make them honest to the world they live in. And I can't really worry. I mean, I don't try and be too political on the show, but like, I just try and make honest people. And then hopefully you recognize that that's a real person. And then you can
Mhm.
forgive whatever differences they are from you. If it feels real, once it feels fake or like I'm preaching something, then you lose people.
100%.
Yeah.
And I was going to add to your point. It all feels organic.
Right.
It
Thank
doesn't
you.
feel forced. It honestly is like we're watching a city where someone just literally dropped cameras into the city.
Mm.
It feels that organic. And a lot of us are extremely appreciative that you had the courage to take on those issues, because it puts some things in perspective. And we are very, very happy that you was able to do that. And you blocked out the noise and you kept your eyes on the prize, and it made a great story.
Well, I have
Let
to give props to Starz because they let me do the thing. They have always let me do the thing. I don't get notes that to water it down or to, make it easier to swallow. Like they have supported me 100% and let me make that show. So props to them.
Shout out to Starz. Keep in
Yeah.
mind, your boy reviews just about every single show y'all put out. So don't forget about your boy. And
Yeah.
speaking of Starz, Rebecca, I got to ask you the tough question.
Okay.
Are we going to get a season 3?
Well, I don't know yet. I will be
Mhm.
honest about that, but I hope so. I think so. I thought the reaction to season 2 was amazing, and I just said Stars is brilliant and smart, and appreciate the show so much. So I can only hope.
Let me ask you this, because you now have a groundswell in terms of a fan base. You go on any social media platform, people are talking about Hightown. If there ever came to an event where, for whatever the reason, Star says, you know what, at this point in time, we need to move on. You did a great job, blah, blah, blah. We can't do it this season, whatever. Is there the opportunity that this show could be picked up by a different network?
I mean, I'm not a business person, so I don't know the legal stuff, but first of all, I hope that doesn't happen.
Me
Second
too.
of all, but yeah, I think there's more story to be told. You know,
Mhm.
I think I don't think it ends in the place that I would hope it for it to end. Let's put
Right.
it that way. So
Right.
I would love another season. However, it has to happen by hook or by crook. But
and we're
ideally, at Stars, yes.
and look, we're right here with you by hook or crook, or I should say, by fishing rod, tackle, and bait, because
Yeah,
we're going to
yeah,
go to the marine fishery.
yep.
Having said that, Miss Rebecca, why don't we do a little recapping of all the events that went down in this season, and see if you can tell us what you was aiming to portray to us, the characters who love this show, after I give you one more compliment.
Okay.
Here's something that makes any good story wonderful: the score. For those of you who don't know
Mm,
what I mean when I say the score, I'm talking about the music. I'm talking
yep.
about the soundtrack. Now, I'm not going to pick on nobody else's show, but there are some shows that have the cheesiest soundtrack. It makes it seem like it's one of my grandma's soap operas. Not Hightown.
Mhm.
The score on some of those scenes was engaging, it was menacing, and it actually almost made you be fearful, especially one scene when Ray was getting beat up by the dad and his father. The music on that thing just pretty much told you how it's supposed to go down. How do you do the score, Rebecca? Because it's been great.
Well, we have a composer named Dave Porter, who is very talented, very experienced. He did the score for Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, so he has a great resume, and he's so sweet and easy to work with. And I told him from the beginning, look, I don't know an oboe from a flute, from a drum, like I'm not going to be able to give you notes like that. And he goes, that's fine. You just tell me what you want the audience to feel. Like, what is the feel? And then you go, and then so we watch it together. Once the picture is locked, we watch it together. And I'll say, oh, well, in this moment, it's really sad, but then there's like a little bit of hope right here. And then but then it goes dark at the end. And then he'll come back with something that hits all those emotional beats, and either it works great, or I say, no, that sounds a little sappy right there at the end, or that's too sad, or, and it's all for me on my side, it's all my gut. It's just a gut feeling. Like, when does that go cheesy, or when does that go to network, or when does that go, and that's the only way I can describe it, and then he interprets that into music, actual instruments and music. So, and then the editor also helps me a lot to like communicate that. So we'll talk about it, me and the editor, like what's missing from that, and then we'll give the note. So that's the process.
It went well. We're all thrilled. I mean, some of those was bone chilling through the moments that it went down.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, he's done a good. Shout out to you, my brother. Keep it coming. I'm gonna have to go back and watch some of your stuff too, man. You got me going now.
Yeah,
Miss Rebecca, without further ado, let's get into some of these great scenes from the season. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're standing by and you're super chatting, I'm not looking at that just yet, but just know before she's done, I'm going to take a few questions. We also have a super fan in the booth who's going to come ask her a question in person. So we will get to some of your questions after she gives us clarity on things that happen in the season. First scene I'm going to show you, Miss Rebecca, and we'll talk about. Take a look. Whew. Miss Rebecca, talk to us. Talk to us.
That to me was like the most dangerous scene of the season. Like when we first started talking about that scene in the writer's room, I was like, this is how you lose fans. I mean, you have your number one character smoking crack. Like, I don't know. I don't think I've seen that before on TV. And maybe there's a good reason why I haven't. Like, maybe I'm really making a mistake here, but it just felt so right. And again, it's like all about that gut feeling. And then I just love the guy. We got to play the dad. Carlos Gomez is so good and feels so real. And like, they had great chemistry. Like, you really felt a history. And I love that scene. What I like about that scene is it really exemplifies the idea of like, there's no good and bad. Like, yeah, we know she's an addict and she shouldn't be drinking and she shouldn't be doing cocaine, but yet like that whole day that they have together in that episode, like they're having fun and you're kind of rooting for them, like you're on this journey with them. And it really feels like, yeah, maybe Jackie can drink, or maybe her dad is okay. And then it turns the next morning. And I really like that it's not that after school special, like she shouldn't be drinking. It's like, no, we get to go on the fun part of the journey too. And then it gets dark, obviously.
So as a fan watching that, I'll give you the interpretation we felt. Even though she's the main character, one of the things that makes her relatable is that she is flawed. But what we do know about her heart is as big as the Empire State Building. And in that moment, that was a moment for her as a fan. We're looking at it like she really needs someone in this moment. And her dad was there for her. And the fact that we still love her as we're seeing her go through her flaws is a testament to how good the writing is, because even though we're frustrated that Jackie's been on this roller coaster, we still see the good in her, and we're rooting for her to turn it around. And so that was something. That whole episode was something.
I'm going to point out one thing just because you brought up the music, which was he says everybody needs to come home, and then he hands her the crack pipe.
Right.
And then in episode 10 at the very end, it's playing Home Sweet Home, which was scripted. So there was always intentionally a tie-in between that moment and this mistaken idea of comfort or coming home that is drugs for her. So,
ladies and gentlemen,
yeah,
you get to see. This is why you have the creators on the show, so you get the Easter eggs. You get to know. I didn't even find that out, and I be hitting hard. Man, that's a good one because that's how it did end. Good point. So now we've got the next one for you, Miss Cutter, and I've the next one of the actors in this scene we're about to see now. I have dubbed this young lady as the next up and hot coming thing in Hollywood that might get an Oscar. Let's take a look.
Little girl, we got heat on us. It's time to change shit up. We're gonna be doing things different from now on. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Good. Now help me drag this motherfucker to his grave.
In the same way you say you could just throw Monica in a room, you could throw Imani Lewis, the lady playing Charmaine. Her expressions, she could do it visually with her eyes, with her body. But talk to us about what was the groundswell in that scene for her character, because I had picked on her character about, seems like she was getting to be too big for her britches. And that was something that knocked her back a few. But talk to us about that, Ms. Cutter.
Well, we saw her season 1, she didn't have to do a lot. She was a very small character, the niece of the big drug dealer, Uncle Wayne. And so that was very intentional. That she was always underestimated by everybody. And that season 2, she would come out of the woodwork and show us how smart she is. She's sort of a baby Osito in that way. Just in that she's always like one of the smartest people in the room. But I think it was always really, really important to me to remember that she's young and she's a girl and she didn't really get to have a childhood, but I don't want to rob that from her more. Like I always want to let her have her vulnerable moments, let her have her childish moments, like when she's flying, with the plane, like when, playing video games with her sister, always be realistic that she's a child. So, so I think in this scene, you're really seeing she's been playing really tough. She has a big mouth, but when that gun came out, she was scared and didn't have a plan. And so I think that's realistic. And I love the music in that scene. We were always joking because we didn't know if we should do score or if we should keep the music on from the car on. And I was like, no, isn't it funny to that she's thinking this is the last song I'm going to hear, so I was like, I like having it on from the car. It's funny.
Yeah, it was that was great. And I thought that her character might take a different turn after going through that. And she really didn't. But everything you mentioned about being able to display that she's still young, you kept that in there. Not only from the video games, from her getting those pocketbooks to the shades, to her still looking like kind of she was trying to find a mentor with the pilot. She was actually taking a liking to learning about aviation. And that kept her grounded in the fact that this young lady she's a teen, basically. Yeah. And that character, man, I got to get her on the show too, man. She's going places. I don't know how you've been able to pull this off, but man.
She's so young and she has such a huge career ahead of her, and she's such a sweetheart and hard worker and everything. I just can't say enough good things about her.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, the next scene. We talked about me, you, and some others that follow us on Twitter. By the way, I have Rebecca's link in the video description if you want to follow her on any of her social media. But we talked about this because someone made a comment. is it okay to rewind specific scenes of Hightown? And I was like, rewind it till your hand is broke. Just keep hitting the button.
Yeah.
This is a scene that is supposed to be kind of sad, and it is, but it turns out to be funny, all in a very sad moment. I wonder, can you guess what I'm talking about, Miss Cutter? Here we go.
When I'm fucking threatening you, you'll fucking know about
it. So good.
Oh my God. Lord have mercy. Let me tell you, so my wife saw it before I did. And she was like, there's going to be a scene that's supposed to be sad, but it turns out to be funny. And that was it. And it's like, I want to be sad, but it's the way he portrayed it. It was just pure. It was comedy. It was sad all at the same time.
Yeah.
Miss Cutter, give us some insight. Was I wrong to laugh?
No. I mean, I think it's inherently funny that it's an accident, but then she like decides in the moment to go along with it and lock him in there. I love that. You know, we talked about different versions, like where it's self-defense, he attacks her, da. But ultimately I was like, isn't it just funnier if it's kind of an accident and then it all spirals out from there, you know? And she has to make that decision, and then we're like, oh, the landline. She has to go back in and get the landline out. Like, what's the reality of this situation? Because there's so much funniness in reality, you know.
Oh my God.
The cleaning people, yeah. So that was fun. So that whole thing, the decision, like the first thought, we were like, yeah, we know she's gonna kill Jorge, but then it just kept like building and building. Like, well, what if she has to lock him in there and wait for him to die? And then she has to go back in and get the phone, and she has to get help. You know, like it just kept building and becoming like a bigger and bigger sequence.
That
and she's a champ. Riley's well, I love her. She's an amazing actress too. I mean, and so is Luis Guzman. Like they're all so good, but she was slipping in that blood, and I didn't even know she was going to do that. That was like her and the stunt coordinator like worked on the side, and then when we were there shooting it, she's falling in the blood all over the place. I was like, how'd you learn how to do that? She's like, oh, I just have been practicing a little.
Now you know the character Renee has gotten me in trouble.
I know you have a little crush on Renee.
Renee was my TV wife, and I had to cut her loose.
Okay.
I had to cut her loose because of decisions she kept making in season 2. And I had to go crawling back to my wife to say, honey, I finally have let her go. Is it okay to come back? And for a little while, I was in the doghouse. But I'm officially off the Renee train because of decisions she has made this season. And I'm just wondering where is she going to go next season. But we're not done with Renee yet. So hold your horses on Renee. Let me get you to the next scene that I want you to kind of break down for us. This was another good one. It's like you could have picked 3 or 4 from every episode, but check this one out.
What's up, Pop? You motherfucker! You piece of shit! Come here!
It's when he's home.
Ooh, he didn't even let the thing cool down. And give us the motivation, because we were screaming at the TV, Renee, at least let him pull away. This is before we have the knowledge of what happens, you know, the other episodes. Let him pull away before you guys interlock. And we was just like, oh my God, you two, here we go. Talk to us, Miss Rebecca.
That's one of those things where, like, I can't justify that with logic, obviously. That's just drama. I just want some drama on the TV screen. I can't even argue why they would do that. In real life, they wouldn't do that. But isn't that a better scene, him turning around and seeing that shit, you know?
But the thing is, I think some people would do that, Rebecca. I mean, the way you've so written Ray's character to be the way he is, I could easily see him doing that.
Well, he would do it to thumb his nose at Frankie for sure. Yeah, I think Renee probably wouldn't do that. But I got to give a shout out to the director, Antonio Negrete, because I think that scene he shot amazingly. But also, I don't think I didn't have a song in my head for that. And I think he put that in the director's cut. and my husband overheard it and was like, and I love that song that was in Casino, and that's a Scorsese jam, and like it just worked so well. And we tried a bunch of other things, but then we always came back to that. So, but I love that scene.
And the music was great. But what the other thing that made it great, if there was one person who gave a menacing stare, take a look at this. Look at that. If that is not the face of, I'm gonna get that ass. Oh, I'm gonna get that. That is the, and then you've got the TLC red light special shining on the background of just, boy.
Yep.
He's acting everybody's doing a good job. I can't say it enough. Everybody's doing an excellent
job. That's the scene of the whole series that has the most series regulars in it. That scene has everybody in it except for Osito. That's the only scene that has that many people in it.
And when that particular clip I just showed stopped, it did have all the officers in the background. Jesley was in the background. We got to talk about them too.
Oh yeah.
Alan, everybody was there. That was a great scene. I just can't talk enough about how good it's been to this point. Next scene, and this is for all my Osito fans out there. Yeah. Osito and Alan together made TV gold. Take a look.
But you can't keep a real one down.
And the worst kind of criminal at that. A snitch, an asshole who thinks he's got a friend in blue. Well, I'm here to let you know we're not fucking friends. You fuck up one time. And I'm gonna put your ass back in there for good, just like your girl Charmaine.
Whoa.
Turning your back on me?
Don't worry about me, Sarge. You need to worry about your own damn self.
Is that a threat?
Fuck around and find out.
I want to find out.
Yeah.
I'm outside looking in. I want to find out. Shout out to both of them, Miss Cutter. Look, Atkins posted on Twitter. You guys got to follow these guys on Twitter. He was like, I was looking hard in a cab picking me up with reindeer antlers. And I said, brother, yes, you was. Damn it. Let's look at it again. Yes, sir. Look at that, boy. only Atkins can make a damn reindeer cab look menacing. Yes. Miss Cutter.
I know I couldn't tell if he was complaining or just joking because he said it on set that day, and I was like, "Oh yeah, didn't really think about it." But like, it totally works. He totally made it work.
Yeah, it worked. And Alan, this scene was intense. And one thing that we picked up on was, did Alan strike a nerve with him when he mentioned Charmaine and Osito stepped to him? Talk to us, Miss Cutter.
Like I said, I think of Charmaine as baby Osito, and I think he recognizes a protege when he sees one, and I don't think he liked that. So I don't think he likes hearing anyone being locked up as somebody's laugh or but I think those two have amazing chemistry, Alan and Osito, and Don Norwood, just exploded on the screen this whole season.
He did.
Who plays Alan, just really the like moral backbone of the show, and but like also ambitious too, like everybody else, and he gets a little nasty with Charmaine. So I like that. He's not, he was the one that kind of gave me the idea that he was the moral compass of the show. Don was about Alan, but he gets nasty with people too. When he goes hard on Charmaine, he goes hard on Charmaine, and he doesn't. So I like that everybody is willing to be the bad guy a little bit at different times.
Let me ask you this about Alan's character, because we noticed that he's kind of like the moral compass, or he's the moral compass that understands he's living in a world that's not a moralistic world. He just lost his position to Ray. The question was posed, do we think that if Alan was in Ray's situation, would he take the job from Ray? What do you think, Miss Cutter?
I think he would. Too.
Oh boy. I'm in trouble. I've been telling people he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. He's got too much integrity.
Because he's been saying fuck Ray for 2 years. So
he
said to Ray in season 1, "Oh, Sergeant Alan Teal has a nice ring to it." I mean, he took it when Ray got fired season 1. So
Okay.
I think he's much more moral than Ray, don't get me wrong, but I don't
Right.
think it's immoral to take a job that your bosses are trying to give you. You know, I don't think that's immoral, really. So
Okay.
necessarily. I mean, it is for Ray because anything Ray does is sort of
what
immoral.
was Alan's
But-
line? Alan's like, "This is about white." That was one of
Oh, yeah.
Alan's lines in
That's
that
real white.
scene.
Yeah, that's a great line. I didn't write it, so I can say
Oh
that.
goodness. And here's another one. I think this is one of your favorites. I enjoyed it, but we'll just look at it and we'll talk about it.
Something that I need to tell you. I'm pregnant.
How long have you known?
A few months, I don't know.
Jesus. A few months. When are you gonna tell me?
Guess I was waiting to find out what was gonna happen with Frankie.
Do you even know whose it is?
It's yours, asshole. Why do you think I'm telling you?
Renee, I mean, you know I had to ask that, right?
Because you're a dick.
Yeah, okay, you know what? I deserve that. I'm happy.
He's happy, Miss Cutter. I don't think he was wrong for wanting to know if it's really his kid.
No, I think given the circumstances how they met, that's a fair question. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
What was you
But
trying
maybe
to
not in
convey?
that moment, you know. But no, I'll tell you why I like that scene. Because I like a scene that really has a real journey. And so, like, first you think she's about to confess about Jorge, and then surprise, she's not confessing about Jorge. She's telling him this other thing. So then you're like, oh wow, she's still a liar. Okay, so that's like piece of information one. Then she's saying she's pregnant. Then he reacts realistically of, oh, is it mine? And how long have you known? And she calls him a dick and she calls him an asshole. And they have this whole fight. And you're like, how are they going to come back from this? And then he says, I'm happy. And then they have this like truly beautiful like moment where, you know, he feels her stomach and like, and I think his acting in it is exemplary because when he lights up, like every time he starts that laughing thing, I'm going to have a baby, my face I smile. I can't help it. It's like, I have some sort of like reaction to that. So like, I know if I'm feeling that, you know, people are feeling that. So like, to me, it's just the scene just goes in so many directions, but it ends up in this joyful, positive place, which we don't do a lot on this show, you know?
So, I guess my question would be, does he know that she killed Jorge, or for him, is it still speculation?
I don't think he knows.
Okay.
But he's a smart guy. He thinks. But I think in this moment, he is choosing to live in denial because I think the pregnancy news is enough to make him where he is going to push that down, at least for now.
Right.
The Jorge thing. And I think, you know, that she's his ride or die now, you know, for sure. And he really does love her. So even though he's been using her this whole time. So
he really does love her. Now, let me ask you this. Does he love her more than his job? If he had to choose between the two, which one would he take? Her or the job?
I don't know. It's hard to answer like hypothetical questions about things that haven't happened. But.
Well, that's one of the questions we're wondering. Because it's been a source of debate.
Right.
Yes, I'm sure he loves her, but does he love her more than his job and his career? So that's something that we're gonna have to see when you guys come back.
Yeah.
Last one for you, Miss Cutter, and this one is an emotional one. Okay. This is the way that we walked out of this season. Some people have been polarized by this scene. People like me feel like it was a great way to catapult to the next season. Let's take a look.
I'm here for some gear.
No, I ain't gonna sell nothing to a cop.
Well, I might not be a cop anymore.
You gonna party with me this time?
Ooh.
Or you just gonna be a little bitch?
Just let me in.
Let me see you not wearing a wire. Show me yours, and I'll show you mine. Well, come on in, officer.
Oh my Lord. You done let Jackie go in there with Odin's daddy Thor, Thor's daddy Odin, and we don't know what is about to happen. We love this character. She's been on a roller coaster ride. Ray is happy. She talks to him before she goes in there. But the only one that seems like they're suffering right now is Jackie. Miss Cutter, talk to us about this.
Well, you know, the whole season was kind of destined to go here, is the way I see it, right? I mean, she was sober at the beginning, and I know people like that, but she wasn't doing any of the things to stay sober. She wasn't going to the meetings. She wasn't doing the steps. She jumps into bed with Leslie right away, like complete distraction. She's on this, quest to get Frankie. And so she's not really dealing with any of her stuff. So to me, it was always preordained that she was going to end up relapsing. What I do want to say though, and I think, and I did see someone put it this way on Twitter, and I agree, which is, when you hate yourself or you think you're a piece of shit or whatever, a lot of people will do the thing that makes them feel more that way because that's familiar.
Right.
So I think she goes there because it is a punishing thing. It is going to make her feel horrible with herself. What I do want to say to the fans is I would never, she doesn't get raped. She doesn't sleep with this guy. I would never write that. Like Jackie is a woman who grew up around creepy men. Look at her dad. This woman knows how to take care of herself and get around and manage men like that. So she goes there and puts herself in a dangerous place as a self-punishment. Yes, absolutely. But I would never put her in that kind of danger. So that's a spoiler for next season, I guess, that nothing happens with that guy. But I just, and I think also, I would never write a lesbian sleeping with a man. I just wouldn't go there. So, but I understand, obviously, that is what makes it an impactful scene is that you're like, no, Jackie, no. But I also want everyone to know there is a floor there that she does not go below. So
right.
If that makes anyone feel a little better about the ending, please. I love her too, you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just got breaking news about Jackie. Miss Cutter just saved me a whole week's worth of Hightown videos because you just got breaking news about Jackie. Because I was about to start making all these hypotheses, which way is it going to go? But at the end of the day, I always was going to make a video saying Jackie goes in there and kind of what you said, she knows how to handle men. And nothing happens. Maybe she gets herself together before anything really goes down, something like that. But ladies and gentlemen, she's giving you something to look forward to in season 3 when the time
I'm not saying she doesn't get high. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying nothing sexual.
Right. So there you have breaking news, man. My goodness. Now, I do want to press you on another character dynamic. We've dubbed the name Jesley together. Is she going to learn her lesson with Leslie?
The thing with Leslie is so wild because I really thought that people would be like, that's it. She screwed Jackie over again. That's it. I'm done with her. And like so many people are so invested in that relationship that they don't feel that way.
Right.
So that's news to me. At the same time, I will say that I don't think Leslie is evil. I think both times she hurt Jackie, she was doing what was right for her. And unlike Jackie does things that ultimately get in her own way and hurt herself. Leslie does everything looking out for number one. So the second Jackie went too far with that I love you text,
right? Leslie
puts down the boundary, just, and doesn't think twice about it. That's an episode earlier, 5 I'm talking about.
I remember.
And she's kind of immature about it, right? She kind of ghosts her, but she just has her boundary and she just sticks to it immediately. And it's like, this could hurt my career and this is going too fast. And then the second time she hurts Jackie, it's in the lieutenant's office. But like, where was the lie? Like everything she said about Jackie was kind of true. So yes, it felt like she was throwing her under the bus and she was, but it's also like, she's not a liar. So I think I think I tried to play Leslie in a way that there could be a reconciliation in the future. Maybe she's not evil. I don't think anyone should be like never Leslie. But I also don't think Jackie should be with anyone for a long time. She needs to get her stuff together.
Jackie was searching for some kind of positive validation, which was exampled by when she met the therapist in the bathroom. She was looking for someone to say, hey, you're doing a good job, and she was just not getting it. But back to Leslie.
Yeah.
Now, you said Leslie didn't lie. In the United States courtroom, an omission of the truth is the same thing as lying.
Yeah.
So Leslie didn't lie, but Leslie didn't tell her boss that I have been having an active, what's the best way to put this? Physical relationship with Miss Quinones. She didn't divulge that to him.
Yeah.
Nor did she say that every single time it looks like Jackie can elevate my career, I get a little sweet on her. She didn't tell him about that.
That's true.
So,
that's a very good, astute thing that you just said, which I don't even know was entirely intentional. But I mean, it was certainly intentional that she was very ambitious. And I don't think being ambitious is a negative. I'm a very ambitious woman. I know women get a bad rep for if they come off as too ambitious, but obviously I am one, and Leslie is one, and I don't think that's negative. But unless it causes you to be a bad person and hurt people to get what you want. So that's where it crosses the line. And I like what you said, that I think Jackie was attracted to Leslie because Jackie was ambitious and wanted to be a cop, and she saw Leslie was this cop, and she kind of wanted to emulate that. But I think it did flip around to where Leslie, every time Jackie gets somewhere, that's a real turn on for Leslie. And anytime Jackie's vulnerable, that's a real turn off for Leslie.
Exactly. And where Jackie is right now in self-development, she doesn't need someone like that in her life. And I just don't know if Jackie is going to be able to come back and be strong enough to stay away from. She's been hurt by Leslie twice, big time hurt.
Yeah.
And it almost caused a fracturing with her relationship to Eddie Murphy, who we all love. There is not a single person who hates Eddie Murphy. We love Eddie Murphy. We was all hoping y'all didn't do anything to Eddie Murphy and Ali Bali, the cat. And
I will never kill Ed Murphy. I'm gonna spoil that too. Ed Murphy lives the length of this season, the length of the series, however long it goes. Ed Murphy always has a place.
And that actor who plays him, I love that dude. I've seen him in so many things. I love him. But here's the tie-in question to him. You guys introduced a character called the Squad Father. And a lot of us want to know, because we love Eddie Murphy so much. Number one, can he catch him? But number two, is the Squad Father and the Connect in New York that's pushing the Great White that Acito is getting ready to go meet, are they one and the same?
I don't know, Lamont. Are they? You tell me. No.
Y'all never let me in the writer's room yet.
Hey, this is actually an interview of you. You didn't
No, it's not. No way. No way.
A job interview. No. I am not going to answer that because it's a great idea and I don't want to say yes or no. I'm just going to let it noodle around in my head.
Okay.
I like what you're thinking. I like where you're going.
Hey,
but we did meet the Squad Father in New Bedford. That's who they go and talk to.
Okay.
So he's not in New York, so that puts a little crimp in your idea. But
God, I be trying, y'all. I be trying hard. So now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get you guys this questions. We're going to have our guest up here who's going to ask her 2 questions. Then when the guest is gone, we'll take a few more, and then we'll try to get Miss Cutter out of here in about an hour. All right. First super fan, Miss Cutter. Her name is Muchella. Guaranteed to give you a smile. Okay. She was on with Atkins a couple of weeks ago. Here she is, ladies and gentlemen. It's Muchella. Hey, Moochie.
Hi.
You got to turn off your mute.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
Mitchella.
Hi. Let me just start off saying that I love this show.
Thank
I got
you.
attached to all the characters. I'm in here screaming and clapping at certain scenes. And this season was fire. Last season, when we lost Junior, I didn't know how it was gonna recover from that. But it was a great season, and I can't wait to see the next season.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see it. It's just so many different aspects of the show. The cast is wonderful. It's a lot of it is believable, and the music, because I wasn't on, I was backstage. When you use the animal song, that made the entire scene. That whole thing, because you know how you watch Casino at the end and you seen everything going down. That whole thing, when you use the animal song, it made the entire scene. Okay, I'm gonna leave that there.
All right.
Now, I got this season. The last episode, I know you discussed it earlier, but I want to revisit it. Was that Jackie's bottom?
I don't believe that everybody has one bottom, but it was certainly one of the steps on it. Yes.
Okay, because you know why I say that? Because when she was with her father the first time, I felt like that was her first one. Because she made the effort and made the phone call, and then Leslie, messed up the whole thing when she came to the door.
Yeah.
So I just hope that she just gets an awakened moment and leaves.
Yeah.
I didn't think anything was gonna happen between him and her. I just felt like she was gonna smoke crack, and that's what I was worried about.
Right.
Now, what advice would you give for someone that's an up and coming screenwriter?
I love that. I always say, follow your heart, write the story that only you can write. Don't hold anything back. If you think it's too weird or too personal or too dark or too funny, or it doesn't matter. That thing that makes it yours, that makes it your special baby is what we need it. We need that. I don't need a copy of a million other things. I need like your story. So I think everybody, every time I've tried to copy something, it's come out bad. And every time I've really just dug deep, it's not that I'm such a huge success, but it's been more successful. So I would just really advise you to like own that thing that makes you special and give that to us as your gift to the world,
Okay. Wow. I feel like you owned that when you did the whole thing with Jorge and Renee doing it. Like, it was funny. It was funny. The Jamaican chicks was funny. that scene, it was so realistic that my sister-in-law, she's like really from the island where she speaks it, and she says, "Yeah, that's real. That's real." With the whole thing with the money and everything, she was like, "That's real. That's believable." So I love this season. It was fire.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much.
All right. Thank you, my sister. I'll see you later.
All
right.
Bye.
All right, Ms. Cutter. Now we've got fans in the comments. Let me read some of the questions.
Okay.
Let's see here. I don't know how this works, but I'll read it anyway.
Okay.
It says, Miss Rebecca, would you consider doing a crossover between Hightown and Power Book 2 Ghost with New York connections? The mystery connecting being Ghost, Mecca, or Tariq?
Yes, I would be open. Call my agent right now and sign it up. Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you've got confirmation. She's open to an all-star crossover on the Starz Network. She's definitely open to it. Let's see here. We've got Miss Chris DeSish. She says, I agree. Who would have thought that the Cape Cod Fishery Service could be so interesting? Miss Cutter,
right?
You made it interesting. And we don't get to see a lot of shows that deal with the Cape. So when you decided you was going to make the show about the Cape, did you have any apprehensions that it wouldn't be able to sustain or garner a general audience?
No, because I think people have heard of Cape Cod and they've heard of it as like this vacation place. So I think that would be like a hook that you'd be like, oh, what's that about? I've heard of that place, or I've been to that place in the summer. And then to see the dark side of it, I thought that would be really interesting for people. But, you know, the Cape is pretty small. We embellish a little bit about like how much goes down there for sure. But it is, it was hit really hard, and there is a ton of crime as a result of the opioid, you know, epidemic there. So it was based in reality, but obviously we jazz it up a little.
Right. Gotcha. You've got another, this one person sent a super chat and sent you $3.50. He says, your show is better than Power Book 2. Love the writing.
Oh, stop. Stop.
No, we go on and on about how good the writing is, because it is excellent writing that you have portrayed. And here's another one down here. Are you from Massachusetts, or did you just have vacation there?
No, I'm from Massachusetts. I'm from Cambridge. And my family used to go to Provincetown in the summer. So I've been going to Provincetown my entire life since they were going before I was born. So that's a very specific part of the Cape. That's the big LGBTQ mecca. And then my husband is from a different town in Cape Cod. And so it wasn't until we were together that I started seeing Cape Cod in the winter and seeing the different side of it. So
wow,
that's that story.
Here's another safe one. Oops, I read that one already. Forgive me for that. Here's a good one. What are your influences and favorite shows? That's a good question. That is a great question.
I'm going to say it, and it's going to be so obvious that you're going to be like, oh, she just stole those two shows. But The Wire and The Sopranos.
Really?
Yeah. To me, those, I feel like, I'm not trying to like toot my own horn, but I think like Hightown is sort of right. I don't want to be braggy. I just mean like tonally, it's like right in between those, right? Because it's like a cop show, kind of like The Wire, but then Sopranos, Sopranos had all that stuff with the therapist and a lot of psychological exploration of the characters that The Wire didn't have. So I feel like it's kind of a mix of those two things from a woman's perspective.
Gotcha.
But those two shows are my jam. I think they're just amazing. I could watch The Sopranos 1,000 times. I could watch The Wire 1,000 times.
Let me ask you this. Currently, what are some of your favorite shows? I'm going to say post 2018.
Okay. Succession. Amazing. Love it. Brilliant. I'm that jerk that doesn't watch that much TV. I watch more like comedies. I watch a lot of documentaries too, because I just
that's
can't.
fine too.
Yeah. I watched a documentary. Murder in the Bayou was really influential. Another one called Fall River. You know, a lot of those, there's a joke that like women love like murder documentaries, but I love a murder documentary.
Let me tell you something. My wife, we just had a baby 16 months ago. And before the baby, my wife was always
beautiful,
watching,
by the way. I follow you on Instagram. She's the cutest.
So my wife is always watching IDTV and all that stuff. And I chastised, I was like, honey, can you quit watching murder TV with the baby just sitting over there eating cookies and what may have you? So you're absolutely right. And to be honest with you, the reason why we like shows like Hightown is because she's pulled me into watching this type of show. I wouldn't be doing what I do with reviews had it not been for my wife. When she's working on clinical notes or whatever, she'll pick some shows and just let them play in the background. And if they can pull her from doing her notes and all that, it becomes a great show.
Right.
Example, Hightown. That's what got us here to the dance. And we've been following you ever since. Let's see here. Do you guys got any more questions out there? We're about at an hour. I want to take one more good question, and then we'll let Ms. Cutter go. Before someone sends me your question, is there anything else you're working on right now besides your Hightown that is of note for people to follow you and watch and look for?
I have something I'm about to pitch, so I don't want to jinx it. But yes, I'm certainly working on things, but I'll let you, you'll be the first to know if something happens.
Please do. Last question comes from JC Klein. Jackie seems more emotional and vulnerable and may a little less tough this season. Was that deliberate decision? Is it being sober that has made her more vulnerable?
Yes and yes. So deliberate and because of sobriety, yes, I think so.
Gotcha.
Um,
Gotcha.
but I think, like, I think what I said it already, but you know, this thing of like, she's vulnerable with Leslie, but she's using Leslie too as kind of an escape, right? I mean, I think
That's true.
as a high, you know, and I think she's using the work as a high, just like Ray does. So I think, yes, I think she was able to get her heart broken because she was sober. You know, I think if she was drinking or using, she would have just said, fuck that girl and moved on, you know, or somehow managed to like not feel it. I think so. Yes, I absolutely think she was more vulnerable because she's sober, but I don't think she was fully emotionally sober in the way she needed to be to have an actual relationship.
Gotcha. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can't say enough. This is the legendary Rebecca Cutter, showrunner, creator for Hightown. We're so thrilled to have had you come in here. We want to give you that wonderful Hollywood clap as you're making your way out of here. Tell her thank you. And I would like to say, when the news comes, because I know the news is going to come, that a season 3 is coming. May we be allowed to have you come back to just say, you know, when it's going to happen,
Yes.
General synopsis to get the fans engaged and just kind of keep the buzz going about Hightown?
Of course. I love it here.
Hey, people. So, Miss Cutter, we're so thankful that you came to see us.
You're the only interviewer I've ever reached out to and asked to be on their show. You know that, right?
I didn't know that.
I've never reached out to anybody. I'm just really quick. I know you want to get off. But I
take your time.
Like,
take your time.
You guys, you and your wife, you, and then also you and your wife, doing those long, like the 40-minute recaps and listening to you. It was like the first time I really got to hear what was being received. Like I knew what I was putting out, but you don't know what gets received. And so it was so powerful for me to hear you guys talk about it and see the things that worked for you, see the things that didn't work for you. It really made me feel good that it was like seen. And I just thought that you were so funny and they were so engaging. I just loved watching them. So thank you.
Well, I'm this clip right here, this part that you just said, in the same way my wife broke my Fire Stick button, rewinding Jorge getting shot by Renee, I'm going to break something, rewinding this over and over and over to her. Because I chastise her on those reviews on purpose because people like it. And she hates it when people feed the beast because that's what make them funny. People see our chemistry and I've really enjoyed it, but I always have to remind her, I watch TV because you got me into TV. And so, and you didn't get me into low-class TV. You got me into Hightown.
But
TV.
Your wife is very smart and she gets some things really right. So tell her I think she's really good at this too.
Right. So. And she also wanted me to tell you that she's loved the way y'all have scripted Frankie because she hated his guts in the beginning. and now because of what's going on with Renee, which I hope we get to see the baby. That's my name for the baby.
Yeah.
She's rooting for Frankie at this point. And she loved the way in this last episode, he played mind games with both of them. So, and she wants to give you all the credit for writing an outstanding story. So we're grateful to you as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Rebecca Cutter, we're so grateful. We hope to have you again soon. Give your husband my love. I'm a fan because he's a fan, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye, guys. And